"I need a wife by tomorrow," the billionaire said. "Then you will have to come and live at my place," she replied, her voice calm while the room froze. The words landed like a crack of thunder in a silent room. "I need a wife by tomorrow." The billionaire said it without blinking, without shame, as if he were ordering a car or closing a deal. People around him held their breath. No one laughed. No one challenged him. And then the woman across the table lifted her eyes and answered with a quiet force that stopped time. "Then you will have to come and live at my place." No one expected that answer, least of all him. Her name was Mara Hale, and she did not look like someone who negotiated with billionaires. She wore a simple coat, faded at the cuffs. Her hands were steady, but marked, skin rough from years of work and winters that did not forgive. There was a scar near her wrist that never faded, no matter how many summers passed. Her eyes carried a tired kindness, the kind that had seen pain and stayed soft anyway. 30 seconds earlier, she had been invisible. Mara had been invited as a favor. A last-minute replacement at a private charity dinner held in a glass tower overlooking the city. The room smelled of polished wood, expensive perfume, and confidence. People spoke in low voices about mergers, headlines, and power. Mara sat straight, hands folded, listening more than speaking. She did not belong to their world, and she knew it. Across from her sat Adrian Cade, a man whose name alone could move markets. He was tall, sharp, always controlled. His suit fit him like armor. His eyes were cool, trained to measure people by what they could offer him. That night, he was under pressure. Adrian needed a wife by tomorrow. The reason was not romance. It was survival. His late father had built the empire on strict terms. One clause, buried deep in a will no one dared to challenge, demanded that the company be led by a married heir. Family stability, the lawyers called it. The board had found the clause that morning. If Adrian did not meet it by sunrise, control would shift. Decades of work, thousands of jobs, all hanging by a line thinner than pride. Adrian had looked around that room full of influence and saw solutions everywhere. What he did not see was dignity. Mara saw it clearly. Her mind drifted, even as the room waited. She remembered another room years ago filled not with glass and light, but with dust and metal. The smell of oil and smoke clung to the air. She remembered the weight of a uniform on her shoulders, heavy with responsibility. She remembered nights that stretched forever and mornings that came too soon. Mara had served where silence mattered. She learned early that loud words often hid weak hearts. Strength, real strength, lived in restraint. Her backstory was written in scars and sleepless nights. She grew up in a small town where everyone knew your name and your mistakes. Her mother worked double shifts. Her father left early and never returned. When she turned 18, she enlisted not for glory, but for purpose. She wanted to matter. The years that followed reshaped her. She learned to move through fear, to breathe through loss. She lost friends whose laughter still echoed in her dreams. She learned the smell of rain on dry ground and the sound of quiet after chaos. When she came home, she carried more than memories. She carried the weight of promises kept and people lost. She became a nurse after. Helping was the only thing that made sense. Healing was her way of honoring those who never came back. So when Adrian spoke those words, "I need a wife by tomorrow," something in her stirred. Not anger, not shock, just clarity. She saw a man used to taking without asking. She saw a system that rewarded speed over soul. And she saw an opportunity to draw a line. "Then you will have to come and live at my place." The silence that followed was thick. Forks paused midair. Smiles froze. Adrian studied her, surprised. No one had ever spoken to him like that. He expected conditions, contracts, numbers. He did not expect humility. Her place was small. An old house on the edge of town, close to a river that flooded every spring. The roof leaked, if the rain came sideways. The heater sang at night like it might give up any moment. But it was clean, warm, alive with memories and quiet respect. Adrian laughed once, sharp and brief. He thought she was joking. Mara did not blink. She met his gaze with a calm that unsettled him. She was not asking for money. She was not impressed by power. She was offering terms: live where I live. See what I see? Wake up to the same worries. Share the same space. Only then, the board members whispered. This was absurd. This was risky. This was beneath him. But the clock was unforgiving. Adrian agreed. That night, the city watched as the billionaire stepped out of his tower and into a world he had never touched. Cameras caught him carrying a single bag, his jaw tight. Headlines mocked him. Social feeds laughed. Mara watched quietly from the porch as his car pulled up. The air smelled of wet leaves and river water. The house creaked as if bracing itself. Inside, there were no assistants. No silence, padded by luxury. There were dishes drying on a rack, a stack of books by the couch, photos on the wall of people smiling in uniforms, arms around each other, eyes bright with trust. Adrian did not comment. Days passed. Tension grew. He woke early to the sound of the heater struggling. He waited for coffee that did not appear magically. He noticed the way Mara checked the weather before leaving, the way she packed lunches with care. He saw her help neighbors without expecting thanks. He saw respect earned, not demanded. Publicly, the pressure mounted. The board questioned his judgment. Investors panicked. Commentators called it a stunt. Privately, something shifted. Mara never raised her voice. She never reminded him of the deal. Her silence carried weight. When he complained, she listened. When he mocked the simplicity of her life, she smiled without offense. One night, the power went out during a storm. The house went dark. The rain hammered the roof. Adrian reached for his phone. No signal. Mara lit a candle. In that quiet, he saw her fully. The steadiness, the patience, the strength forged without applause. She told him about the people she lost, not with drama, but with honesty. She spoke of promises, of showing up even when no one was watching. He listened. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Adrian stood before the board. Cameras waited. The world expected spin. Instead, he spoke plainly. He spoke of respect, of responsibility, of leadership that did not hide behind wealth. He announced the marriage. Yes. But more than that, he announced change. The room fell silent. The power shift was not loud. It was undeniable. Stock stabilized. The board backed down. Employees watched with cautious hope. When Adrian returned to the house that night, he found Mara on the porch, watching the river rise. He thanked her. She nodded. The wedding was small. No spectacle. No excess. Just intention. People stood in quiet respect. Not for the billionaire. For the woman who reminded everyone what strength looked like. One line from that day spread across the world. Real power knows how to listen. Another followed. Dignity does not need permission. And a third. Whispered, but remembered. Some battles are won without raising your voice. In the end, Adrian did not just gain a wife. He gained a mirror, a conscience, a home that taught him what his towers never could. Mara gained nothing she asked for, and everything she deserved. The story spread not because of wealth, but because of worth. And somewhere, someone watching felt seen, because respect still matters. Silence can be strength, and the bravest people often speak the softest. If this story moved you, share where you are watching from. Tell us what strength means to you, and subscribe for more stories that honor the quiet heroes among us.